Hello, Alchemist here. So I'm going to be explaining my Spellblade I've had for quite a long time. I think I made it back in June. It's my second character I ever made. I've been playing it off and on. It was good for a while, then it got bad, then it got good, then it got okay, but now it got even better with the way that I've gone ahead and worked around it. I've always liked Shatter Strike ever since I implemented it. It was really good, but I always felt like it was just too much of a mana drain, mana hog. So I had to use focus. The problem with using focus is while using it, you're not doing much damage, if any at all. So then when they reworked Ice Barrage, I threw it in the build, and it did pretty good. So when I was using focus, I was able to do damage when I wasn't using Shattering Strike. Now they've added more ways recently to get Fire Aura, and having Fire Aura as well as Ice Barrage when you're doing not doing Shattering Strike and using focus it helps supplement your damage so you're consistently doing damage. I'm gonna go ahead and show off the build against God Hunter. Pretty much a straightforward fight. It has become my version of patchwork for this game. If anyone's played WoW, you understand that term or that reference. There are a few things you still have to avoid. I don't think I can face tank everything, so I have to get out of the way of damage. But it's the second phase I want to discuss a little bit when it finally comes up, and discuss my problem with the second phase. Oh, I froze him. Haha. Free, sucker. Alright, so in this second phase, my biggest problem is the light mages. It's not the light mages themselves, it's the thing they drop on the ground. So when you combine both your fire aura and the chill aura and the light mages, I can't see the light mages ability. And I don't have a problem with, like I said, the damage of the light mages themselves. It's nice that there are certain abilities that you still got to get out of, so you can't just face tank forever. But I can't really see it very well, and I have to super concentrate in order to see it. And it's really frustrating. So I wish I wish hopefully the devs, or someone will suggest to the devs that they make it so it stands out a little more. That way it's not so covered up by your own aura, and you almost take damage and almost die from it. Like, I got clipped by it. And of course the crossbows at the same time. I don't think I could take that this time around because it does a lot more damage the second time around. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, I got hit by that. Oh, shit. So that was luck. I didn't expect him to do it right away after that. That's why he used my teleport like an idiot, but... Like I say, I have no problem with having to get out of the way of damage and stuff. I don't mind that. But I just want to be able to see it. And at least this stuff is so big that I can see it. And I can try to react to it, but I wasn't reacting very well to that. Because I'm trying to talk at the same time. Come on, come over here. There we go. I got him. But yeah, that's my biggest problem with the fire aura and even chilling aura that I get from having cross brush. Is some ground effects I can't see, and especially when it comes to light mages, that ground effect can be extremely deadly. So what is it? We'll keep what I have for now. Doesn't really matter so much. Pick that up. That stuff up. I don't care about the gear at the moment. So let me explain my build a little bit, because that's probably what people care more about than seeing the actual fight. Let's start with skills. Alright, so Fire Ward. Flame Ward. So in order to make let me first explain Fire Aura actually. Here's Fire Aura. Fire Aura is a spell that deals fire damage over time in an area around you. Its damage is increased by intelligence. And it'll do fire damage unless you have Flame Ward. Flame Ward actually has 2 nodes that will change it to This one will change Fire Aura to Lightning base damage. This one will change Fire Aura to Cold base damage. Currently, these are the only two ways that you can change Fire Aura at all. So if you don't have these nodes, it'll always be Fire Aura, no matter what other skills you have, if you're going to use Fire Aura. It won't change the name to Cold Aura, so that's why I keep saying Fire Aura, because it's Fire Aura, but it's cold. So if you want to do Fire, or if you want to do Cold or Lightning damage, Flame Ward is a must. You have to have it. It's the only way you can have that transition. It'd be nice if they add it into the passive tree somehow, so that you can have that choice eventually, but currently right now the only way to change Fire Aura to Lightning or Cold is to use Flame Ward. So the points that I put in, I put 5 of 5 in the Stalwart defense, get 200% or 200 more ward. I put 3 out of 3 concentrated shielding in order to get to fortification, get the 150 bonus. Retaliation, rocking. I don't really care about 3 so much. I just wanted the high amount of ward that you can get from this. And then I put 5 out of 5 here in barrier in order to get the 40% less damage when you have it up. 3 out of 3 in dilation in order to get the duration and mana efficiency. 1 point here in Fire Aura. You don't really need this if you have procs to get Fire Aura. You just need to put a point here or 2 points here to get to Frost Ward. So you don't really want Fire Aura, but this will give you another one. You can actually have multiple stacks of Fire Aura. Show that off in a second. Instead of just having 1 stack, you can have like 5, 10, even 20 stacks going at a time. It does increase damage per stack. So you want to at least have some way to get to here, whether you put 2 points there or here. And I had to put my extra point. I put it here. Energize. Not so bad. For Shatter Strike, this is your main damage dealer. The other thing is just supplement damage for not doing Shatter Strike. I put 4 points here in Lingering Chill in order to get the 80% cold damage and 160% freeze rate multiplier. And for some people who don't quite understand freeze rate, I'll explain it in a little bit. Let me just get through these points real fast, all skills. I'll give a quick explanation on freeze rate. Breath of Cold, get that because more max area. More area you do, the less you have to worry about going up to each individual mob and killing them. You just hit a big group of them at once, and of course increase damage, which is good. I used to have 2 points in Whiteout and it would do the extra cast, but once I started adding Ice Barrage to my build, I would run out of mana a lot faster. So I'd be using Focus more often. So I took 1 point out, tested it out, and the amount of damage between having 2 points in it versus 1 point, it's not that big of a difference. And the amount of mana though is a big difference. So that's what mattered more to me, is making sure I can do more casts before I have to use Focus. Because Focus is nice, but it's also time when you're not doing damage. I put 5 out of 5 in Icy Flow in order to get the mana efficiency, because like I said, Shatter Strike is a big mana hog, so having that helps out a lot. And of course, every time you hit with it, even on the second cast, so the recast counts as a hit. So every time you cast it, you get 50 ward just from the hit itself, not counting your own passive, your mastery bonus that you get as well for when in mana. And then I put 5 points here in order to increase its area. You can take that out and put it somewhere else. Me, I like a bigger area, so I don't have to run up to every single pack. I can just do a pretty big pack and then move on. The cold penetration doesn't really matter much as you get higher and higher. It does help a little bit through mid-level and even to like 70 or 80 damage, or 80 mobs. But as you get higher to 100, penetration becomes less and less useful. Which I hope they rework penetration to become more of a percentage-based thing, less of a flat rate. Unless we all understand penetration incorrectly, and the devs just haven't quite explained it to us how good it really is. But currently, with the way that I've seen it and the way that I've read about it on the forums, it doesn't really scale well for close to 100 or close to 100 level mobs, say. And then Shattering Strike, I just put my other 2 points there for absolute 0. Get a little more hit damage. You can put over here to get more freeze rate. I was thinking about putting it here. That way it gives a 50% chance to apply Frostbite. Frostbite is a cold dot and explains it right there. Reduces cold protection by 50 and does 15 damage over its time. So it's a 4-second thing. So it's about 3, maybe 3.5 damage a tick base without any modifiers to damage. So that that could be something good. I thought about building a frostbite build a while back because, like I said, I needed something to supplement from when I'm doing Shatter Strike and not doing Shatter Strike. So I was gonna build a frostbite build for a while, but I started noticing that was actually there's a lot more fire aura. So there's still a chance that I might switch out of fire aura and do frostbite, but currently the way I have it is I'm doing fire aura this build. The teleport's pretty basic. 5 out of 5 in ether barrier, 3 out of 3 out of body. That way you get more reward when you teleport based upon your health. 1 point here on out of mind, of course. That way you get reward based upon your intelligence. 5 points here on elementary affinity because every time you cast it, you're gonna have that amount. And cooldown being 3.6, and as long as I cast it on cooldown often, that's gonna constantly be up, and that's just an extra 50% cold damage. I put these here just because I like the extra damage it can do sometimes if you do it when you're close to mobs. The other remaining 3 points in ward retention. You can take these points out and put the last 2 here in ward retention if you want, and put the last point somewhere else. But I went with this. Where I went. I'll do focus real fast because it's a quick overview. So focus. We're 4 and 4 in desperate meditation. The lower your mana, the higher amount that you're going to get back with this. So if you're missing like 80% mana and you do this, you get a higher amount of mana regen based upon the lower amount that you have when you focus. Of course, increase your mana regen by 100% while you're using focus, so you can get your focus back or mana back during focus extremely fast. I put 3 points in here. You don't have to, but I went to get energy infusion in order to get haste after I'm done using focus, so I can move around a lot faster. Because sometimes you may have your teleport on cooldown, use focus, and then you need that extra burst of speed to get out of damage because your teleport's still on cooldown for another second or two. So that helps out a lot with getting out of the way of damage at times. Ward retention, so that when you are channeling focus, you're not losing the ward as fast, and so you can constantly gain it as well. Of course, protections, get less damage taken while you're doing focus. You can take the points out of here and put it in here and do something else with it. But this is the way I went. It's easily interchangeable. Depends upon how you want to play. So it's Ice Barrage. Ice Barrage is the one thing that I use to proc more chances of Fire Orb, because my Fire Aura is proc based off of crit chance. So I put 4 out of 4 here in order to get more damage and crit chance. 3 out of 3 in Eternal Winter in order to get last longer. 3 seconds last longer. Of course, 1 point here. It's very good against bosses and even rares. It increases the cast rate or to fire even faster. I had 1 point left over after all this, and I put it in here in order to increase his damage. The damage really doesn't matter much for freezing. It's all about the rate. The frost rate itself, not fire rate. When you have fire rate here, put 2 points in here to get down to here. Get 45% chance every time it hits to get 7 ward. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when that thing is shooting off extremely fast and hitting the mob multiple times, yeah, you're going to get quite a fair amount of ward. You're not going to be sitting like 2, 3, 5k ward, but you will be sitting close to like a k ward most of the time with that and Shatter and Strike constantly. So, pretty good. And I put 2 points here in order to get Chillin' Aura. Chillin' Aura does, it applies chill to everything around you. Of course, what chill does is it slows the attack speed, the cast speed, and the movement speed of whatever's chilled, and it can stack up to 3 times. And that works against bosses. You can slow down their attack rate in order to give you a little bit more chance to survive, move out of stuff. I put 3 points into here in order to get freeze rate multiplier. It stacks 10 times, so 30% times 10 will make it 300% multiplier. It stacks 10 times. And then this, of course, it'll stack every time it does damage, up to 5 stacks, so 25% more damage. The thing about this one and this one is you'll lose the stacks if you recast it. So, gotta think about that too. Do you want to just recast constantly, or do you want to keep it casting and just let it fall off on its own throughout the duration? I put 1 point here to test it out. It procs pretty often, but it's not that great. I might just take that out and put it here to give myself a little more damage with it, or maybe a little more fire rate. I don't know yet. Figure that out soon. As far as passives go, the tree, 8 out of 8 your intelligence, because as you read on Fire Aura, his damage is increased by intelligence. I don't think it is increased by cold damage, which I might test that out. I might just make something, make 3 pieces of gear with a bunch of cold damage, and then test it out on a dummy, see if it actually increases. I haven't tested that out just yet, so it might actually increase based upon elemental damage. According to the way it says, it's only intelligence for right now. So try to get as much intelligence as you can. 8 of 8 here, 2 points, and then move up to the next node to get the attack speed. If you want, you can put a point here, and if you want to get the ward retention, you can end up getting that too. But I also put 10 points here in order to get the crit. You can put 5 points here, which will put you at 20, and you put the other 5 later. That way you can get to 20, and then you get to your Spellblade. You don't have to worry about maxing this out until later. So you can actually go with 8, 2, 5, and 5, and then put the other 5 in later to get more crit chance. For Spellblade, I maxed out this first because that's a lot of damage that you can get. 16 damage if you're doing lightning, fire, or cold attack. It's not 16 each, it's just 16 damage for that attack type, for that one. Now if you did an attack that does both fire and cold, that would be 32 damage. If you're just doing a cold base attack, 16. Unless I'm totally incorrect about that. As far as I know, that's how it works based upon the way it reads. It says depends upon the damage type of the attack. This will increase your attack speed, of course, give you ward every time you hit something. So when you use Shatter Strike, not only will you get ward from Shatter Strike itself, but you get it from the hit as well. So you get even more ward that way. None of these impressed me too much. This was okay. I don't really care about the cold protection too much at this point. I might go for shock at some point, because what shock does is it lowers the elemental protections as well as increase the chance to get stun, and stun is based upon the amount of damage you do to a target. So the less stun resistance they have, the more damage you do, the more chance they have to be stunned, which could help survive from getting hit from something or interrupt an attack. But might go for more shock at some point. If the damage won't affect me, it'll just be the shock chance, and that can be up to 10. That's 50% shock. Ignite, I don't really care about that. Next melee, every 3 seconds, only one melee attack will do a bunch of damage, which is okay, but I'm attacking so often that I don't really want to see that big spike in damage every now and then. It's just not something I went for. It's not a bad node, it's just not for my playstyle. I went with 8 out of 8 in Spellbound, because I use 8, 15, and 2 to get up to here. Like an 8 out of 8 in Spellbound. Every time you cast a spell, your melee will increase by 72%. So this is a spell, this is a spell, this is a spell, this is a spell. So basically every time you use one of these, you're going to be using them often. So there's a small chance that this will actually fall off. We'll be keeping that up consistently. And this node is exactly the same as the other one. It's just the amount is different. So these two nodes right here are the same. It's just the amount per point is different. The amount of points here. And this node and this node are the same. What this one is when you cast a melee ability, use a melee ability, you get spell damage. So it's the opposite of these other two nodes. So these two are the same, these two are the same. It's a really old tree, and hopefully they give us some love and do something that updates this a bit too. Maybe give a little more crit in here as well. That'd be great, because currently the only crit you can get is from here. At least for melee attacks. Sorcery, you can get plenty of crit for spell attack, spell cap. Alright, I put 8 out of 8 here, because this does two things. One, it gives you dexterity, which is hard to get dexterity for this sort of build, and it actually is very good for Shattering Strike. I'll show you in a second. And you get 8 more damage. So what dexterity does for Shattering Strike is every point of dexterity, you get 1 point of damage, and you get 4% more damage, melee damage. So this is essentially, this is 16 more damage. So this is 16 damage, and this is 16 more damage. Now you have 32 damage at attack, which is cool. So it's not like it's totally useless to have dexterity, but stacking it really high is probably not as good as stacking. I'm not sure if I put this in later or if I used it to get up to this node, but I put some points in here to get more melee damage. These two nodes are pretty much the same. The difference is this is less per, but this is 5 per point, and you also get a little bit elemental protection. And this is 8 per point. You don't get the protection. But this one you want to max out because you get more intelligence and more melee attack damage or whatever based upon damage you're doing. That's really good. I put points in here. Now this node is less for bosses and more for killing lots of trash mobs. What happens is every time you kill a mob, you'll get a chance to get ward, and you'll get 50 ward or 100 ward if you want to put all 10 points in it. I just went with 5. So every time you kill a mob, you have a chance to get a 50 ward. Then you can put points in here, which every time I kill a mob, I have a chance to get ward based upon my intelligence. My intelligence is what, 91? 91 times 5, what, 455? 455 plus 50. Every time I kill a mob, there's a 10% chance that I will get 505 if my math is right. If it's not right, I'm sorry, but it's a pretty big amount every time you kill a mob. And if you kill like loads of like little spiders, you have a chance to get a lot of ward, and you don't have to worry about dying too much. And of course, this one is for dexterity. That's the exact same as intelligence, but dexterity, and this one is for vitality. I don't have any vitality, so I didn't want to care about that. I just put 1 point in there just because I have a little bit of dexterity, but I don't want to pump a whole bunch of points in. Sorcerer, I have 5 points in here to move up. If you don't really care about spell crit, which actually I do care about for this, that's a spell and that's crit, and that gives me more fire aura. You can put points over here or just spell damage, but I care more about the crit. So I used 5 points to get to there. I had 5 points here in order to get to here because I wanted to get more freeze rate multiplier as well as more cold damage. And I'm going to finish this off, and I'm going to finish this off, and I don't know what I'm going to go for now. I might go for the shock chance, because if you can get 100% shock chance, that's quite a bit of damage boost for you. You'll be bringing down those protections that a lot of bosses have down a bit, which should be good. So I might end up going that way, try to see if I can get 50% shock chance on either an amulet or some other way. But right now, that's the skills and the passives. I'll go gear just real fast. Weapon, I have this. You don't really need this weapon, but I like it a lot because it's got a lot of damage on it. Got a lot of cold damage and lightning damage if you want that. It's got spell damage on it as well. And of course you have your physical damage. The cold and lightning protections are okay. Like, it actually rolled pretty well for this was the second one I got. So it's almost max on the damage aspect, but the protection's a bit low, but that's not too bad. And then the tidal wave damage that it does, it hits pretty good. It's not like the worst thing ever. The only downside to the tidal wave is it doesn't always go across the map. Sometimes it goes upwards at an angle. So it'll go, if you're pointing towards the camera, sometimes it'll go towards you. And it's kind of funny that it does it. But as far as the tidal wave does, there's about 1,500 to 2,000 on a crit. It went upwards above it, so I didn't get it. It's going above it, and it's not actually hitting it. See how it went up? It's kind of, you need to fix that. I'm trying to show it off, but I can't. I'm showing off the bug part about it. There we go. I think I hit. Nope. Gotta find the right angle. It kind of sucks, which would be nice. It's a good ability, and it does. Yeah, see, there you go. 1,100. It's not bad. It's good for killing like little mobs later on, but that's if it goes across the ground. Otherwise, it goes up towards the camera, which is pretty funny when it comes right at your face. Like, what's going on? I can't see. But there's that. You don't need that. You can just get any weapon that does massive amounts of damage. I would suggest a two-handed over a one-hander, but if you need a survivability, go one-hand shield. You keep dying quite often. As far as gear goes, I would say try to stack as much intelligence on everything as you can. And get your, if you want to go crit base like I did, get as much crit fire, like get it to tier 5 as you can. And this one I got to tier 5, but everything else I did pretty good on, but not the greatest. This one is actually, this was the whole reason that I even did it, because I got this. It had tier 5 intelligence and tier 5 on fire aura. And I was like, cool. So then I added, that was the whole reason that I actually went with this, because I saw that and I was like, that just, sometimes you just get that piece of gear that makes your brain like click on something. That's what happened with there. Everything else though, you just want to make sure you have your glance and blow capped and your crit avoidance. Try to get as much crit as you can if you can. Crit stuff there, crit there. I went with 2 crit idols instead of all these, because you can go 4 of these and it can give you up to, because they max out at 15%. This one's almost max. I think I have another one that's 9, another one that's 12. So that would be close to 60%. But I decided to try to go crit. So I don't know which is better, to go more crit, because this one's almost max and this one's almost there too. Got really lucky with those two. So I don't know which is better. Having more crit and a lower proc rate, or having higher proc rate and lower crit. I don't know which is better yet. So currently the way I went more towards crit. You can actually do it a little differently too. Let me see. Aura. Sometimes it glitches out and you can't do search. So you can have aura on a hit, which you also have. You can also get it on an idol, and it goes 5%. You can have aura when you kill things. So when you kill trash mobs, you have a chance to get in more aura, which isn't very good against bosses because there's not a lot of trash turn bosses. There might be a few parts of the phases, but overall it's not as good. And then you could also get the increased aura. So that's pretty much the way I do my Spellblade. I like it a lot. It does a fair amount of damage. It's not super tanky because you still have to avoid stuff and not stand in it forever. I hope they find a way to make it so that when you do have man, I missed again. But when you do have both chill and aura, and because every stack that you get, it actually increases the density of the so this is your fire aura stack. You can actually see the amounts that you get over time. And every stack you get increases the density of it. So it gets thicker and darker and harder to see stuff on the ground. But once you get to like start clearing packs of like 20 or 30 mobs and you get a lot of proc chances, you can actually get your stacks somewhere between 20 and 25 stacks easily, consistently. And it's very thick and very dense, which isn't a bad effect, but it just sucks that it's hard to see ground effect at the time. Especially damaging ones from like light mages. Those things hurt a lot. But overall, that's the way I do my build. I don't know who sat through this entire thing. If you did, cool. If you skipped around, that's probably what smarter way to do it. Skip around and listen to a little bit here and there. Overall, I'm actually enjoying this build a lot more than I used to, and I'll keep playing it some more, and hopefully someone else can play it and figure out a better way of doing it. And if you do, I'll just copy you instead. Till next time, have fun.